Okay, so we met on Tinder, so like not officially in person first.
Swipe right.
We swiped right. We were living in London at the time. We'd both been there about 6 months or so. And yeah, we met on Tinder. And that was February, 5 years ago now. So 2014 in February, just after Valentine's Day. But yeah, first actual meeting was on Tinder, a little bit before Valentine's Day. And then we met up in person.
Stood him up on our first date.
Yes, stood me up on our first date,
Not
basically.
really.
But yeah, so yeah, that's how we met. It was pretty easy. It was my one and only Tinder date. Ash had been on a couple herself as well.
2 or 3.
But yeah, that was it. We were living in London at the time, and we were both relatively new there, so just kind of making friends and like getting acclimated to work and such. And so we both thought it was kind of funny that, you know, we'd come all the way from the US. I was living in Spain at the time, and when we said, hey, I kind of met someone, I really like her, they say, was it a British girl? And for them to be, is it a British guy? And they're like, nope, American.
All the way to London to find myself an American man.
Exactly. But yeah, that's basically how we met.
To be honest, I thought he was British. So when we were talking on Tinder, my profile clearly stated that I was American and his did not. So when we first met up, you know, after living in London for a little while, you get kind of an inflection a little bit. And, you know, after the first 2 or 3 minutes, I looked at him and I was like, where are you from? He's like, San Diego. I was like, oh, you're from the US. He's like, yeah. I was like, I thought you were British.
So yeah, and you know, like, so first impression, obviously we had this like Twitter banter conversation, or not Twitter, but Tinder like banter thing, just to be like, hey, look, let's meet up and let's hang out, because, you know, I was like, she seems super cool. I thought, even just from the photos, just like beautiful, gorgeous smile, and just seems super cool. And then when we met up in person, it was kind of funny because we had to like pick a place to meet up, and so we were in Piccadilly Circus in London, and you know, it's a very busy place. It's like Times Square in New York in terms of like people everywhere and all that. So. And
he told me to meet him there at 6:26 p.m. in Piccadilly Circus. So I was coming up from the tube, and it was 6:30. I was like, oh my gosh, he's one of those guys that's like needs to be super punctual, and I'm just not. So I was coming up from the tube, it was like 6:30, and I was like sweating because I was running up because I didn't want to be late. And I texted him and I said, all right, I'm here, where would you like me to meet you? And he said, meet me in front of the Royal Britannia, which is a super touristy souvenir shop in the middle of Piccadilly Circus in London. And I go over there, and there's a huge man on stilts in a Beefeater costume right in front of the souvenir store. And so I'm standing there and I said, okay, I'm here. And he goes, oh, okay, is that you in the red coat? And I said, yeah. And he said, okay, I'm the guy on stilts. I'm getting off my shift in 5 minutes. I'll change quickly and I'll meet you right outside. And I literally looked at my phone and then looked up at this man on stilts, and I was like, this is not happening.
And it wasn't me, which is good. So that's what was fine. So we basically, yeah, that's when we first met. But it was just awesome. Like, you know, we kind of just walked around town and just had an awesome, just like first date together. So it was great. But like first impression, I was definitely just like, okay, just don't mess this up. She seems super cool and a lot of fun. So that was basically it. Oh, I know this one. Yeah, okay, gotcha. All right, so definitely a nerd. At the time, I was working for Apple, and so we've been together for a couple months or so, and you know, it's like that conversation you have with folks. So me being like a bit of a nerd, I created a presentation on Keynote on my iPad, which was like a Tinder conversation, and just basically had like a series of questions on there, kind of fun or whatever it is. So I basically asked her to be my girlfriend on an iPad, mocking up a Tinder thing, and I said, you know, will you be my girlfriend? You know, give me a kiss if you know, for yes, or if you don't, then do a backflip. So it worked out really well, but that's basically how it came to be.
Because I can't do backflips.
Exactly.
So we were on the steps of St. Paul's Cathedral, actually in London, and it was a beautiful day. We were walking around the city, and he said, well, let's just kind of sit on the steps. You know, on a really nice day, everyone sits outside because there aren't many sunny days in London. And he gave me this box, and I said, okay, what's in this box? And I opened it. It was this beautiful little necklace, and he told me he loved me for the first time.
And I think it was probably a couple months after we started dating. I know
Yeah.
we'd been on one trip together and such, but yeah, that was it. So it was a couple months later, just said I love you, and it was awesome.
I did say it back.
Yeah.
So success there. I know it was meant to be, actually. I think it was our second date. We were sitting in a little cocktail bar, I think, and there was a globe over in the corner, and Brian said, let's go somewhere. And I said, okay. So we spun the globe, we put our finger on it, and we ended up going to Spain maybe a month later. And I was talking to all my friends and family, and they said, oh, Ashley, like, you're going on a trip with someone you barely know. And I was like, yeah, well, we'll see how this goes. And we had just the most incredible time. And that's when we really got to know each other. We were super spontaneous. He made me laugh a lot. He's also super responsible and such a chivalrous, polite man. And I don't know, he really grasped me from that trip, which was pretty early on in our relationship. And since then, we've continued that spontaneity. We've kind of moved all over the place, and it's made our relationship that much stronger.
And then for me, I think like the first part is, I think everyone has that saying where when you travel with someone, you kind of really like get to it pretty quickly in terms of getting to know them and all that, because maybe someone's a crazy traveler or not. So we had the chance to do a lot of that obviously early on. And I think around that same time too, it's just like a big kind of leap of faith in a sense. And you know, I don't know, we just did it. And then I think as the kind of months and years went on, just talking about like our future together and all that, it just, I don't know, it just seemed like it fit super well. And we just have a lot of the same, nearly every same value for the most part, and just what we want to do in life, just personally, professionally, all that sort of thing, and just being there to support each other. So I think early on, definitely just knew that it was definitely on the right track. And I think as things go, you just kind of grow together and make some changes as well too, and just kind of take it from there.
I was actually supposed to be in Las Vegas for work while we were still living in London, and it got canceled at the last minute, maybe 2 weeks before I was supposed to go, and I was really frustrated. So I came home and Brian said, why don't we book a trip then if you were supposed to be gone anyway? And since he used to live in Spain, we used to love going to Spain. So we booked a trip to southern Spain, and at the last minute, kind of on a whim, like all of our trips, and we went.
Yeah, so it was my first time there, and so I had a few friends who'd been there before, and I said, you know what, this has got to be the time, because I'd already went through, I'd gotten the ring as it was, and I was like, I need to find just the right time to do this. And so the proposal there, we did it in this beautiful place called Plaza de España, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And like I said, in Sevilla, yeah. And I'd never been there before, so it was kind of a little bit on a little bit of a risk in that sense, but didn't want any cameras or anything like that. And it's a very crowded place. So we waited for the dust to set, and I kind of had a saving grace because Ashley wanted to go on this like ferry on the moat there, and I'm like, please, I don't want to have to do this on a boat, you know, like in front of everyone. So fortunately, we went up there, and it's like, I was like, no, we're closed. I think it was like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So I was like, thank you. So anyways, we were there, we were walking around and just kind of enjoying it. It was very calm and quiet at that point in the evening, and we just sat sort of right in the middle on these beautiful steps, and just did it right there. It was nice and quiet. I just told her I loved her so much and wanted to spend the rest of my life with her, and then just turned around, down on one knee, and then proposed. So that worked out perfectly, because there were some other spots that I thought, oh my gosh, I have to do it now, or whatever, and then someone would run in and just kind of ruin the moment a bit. So that's kind of how it worked.
Can I tell quickly from my perspective?
Go for it.
We were sitting on those steps, and we were sitting just like this, and he leaned in to give me a kiss, and I said, are you shaking? And he said, yeah. And I said, why? He said, because I'm nervous. And I said, why are you nervous?
That's very, very abrasive.
It's like, why are you nervous? And he's like, well, because I love you and I want to spend. And then it happened, and I was like, wait, what? I had no idea. Because it was such a last minute trip. I had no idea.
It is awesome. That's how it happened.
It was amazing.
Ashley, first, I just want to say just a sincere thank you for everything that you've done for me over these past 5 years or so. And you know, it just means the world to me when I look back and I think of the progression of our relationship so far, and we're only at like the tip of the iceberg. And I think of what we've experienced so far, of how grateful I am for, you know, just us meeting up and just changing the course of my life, because without you, you know, I feel like I would have been on a way different path in a sense, and being with you is just on a much better path, and something that I'm just looking forward to for the rest of my life. And I think you've given me not only just an extra boost of confidence, but you allow me to be myself, to be able to like laugh at myself and all those sorts of things that I would get really hung up on when I was just kind of thinking about it on my own. And you really are, to me, the world's most special person. And I think you've done so much for me just in these past 5 years or so that I'm like, I get to spend the rest of my life working and like repaying that favor. And so it really does mean the world to me. And I think when I think of what we have in our future together, you know, especially with this past year, and it's been a very challenging year moving back to the US and just kind of going through all the things that we've been going through, and that, you know, I feel it's almost like we come out stronger because of it, and like kind of forged in the fire, I suppose. I know we use that phrase a lot with each other, but it's just something where I'm really thankful for everything we've done together so far. But you know, the highs are going to be even higher, the lows are going to be even tougher, and there's so many things we have yet to do in life itself that are going to bring us new challenges. And when I reflect on when we first met, it's kind of like, hey, this is really compatible and we just fit together so well. And then as things progress, we talked about getting married and then kids and the values and how we want to raise that. And I think we've got such a blessing in that we're so aligned on this, and that, you know, we're aligned on the things that even though we might not know what comes next, we're going to know that we can handle it together. And I think that's something that just gives me so much like confidence, so much encouragement as well too. And it's just something where, you know, I get to spend the rest of my life being forever grateful that one fateful day we just matched on Tinder and it totally changed and altered the course of our lives significantly for the better. So I just want to say I love you so much for everything you've done for me. There's a million things I can share, but I'm just as happy and ecstatic as I am right now. I am even more excited about what's to come down the road for us. So I love you so much, and I can't wait to just really celebrate the wedding, our lives, and all that we have coming up together. So thank you so much.
Hi, Brian. We did it. We're married. How exciting. You know, there's been a lot of planning up to this day, and up to the most important day of our lives. And it started 5 years ago when we first met. And, you know, I want to thank you for being the man you are and the man who helped shape me to be the woman I am today. And, you know, I'm super excited for our future together and to start our family and live out the values and dreams that we've always had. It's been a crazy road with its own fair share of ups, downs, challenges, and everything in between. And we have a long journey ahead, and I'm excited to spend that journey with you. So thank you for everything. I love you so much. Thank you, everybody, for coming so far and from far and wide for our special day. You know, Brian and I have spoken to most of you about the different pods and groups of people that mean so much to us. So to have you all in the same place is a huge honor, and we're so grateful for you for coming from so far.
And I'd say even those who, you know, couldn't be there with us on the day itself, we know that, you know, you were there with your hearts and in spirit as well. But just wanted to say a heartfelt thank you from all of us, and not even just for the actual wedding and the day itself, but just everyone who's been there for, you know, since Ashley and I met, obviously our lives beforehand as well, with our friends and family too. And so it just means the world to us that y'all, you know, made the time and made the trek for it. But just we feel just absolutely showered with love and affection and just so much encouragement as well too. So we couldn't do it without you guys, of course. So thank you so much.